The meeting of the Iowa Board of Regents, January 24th, 2024, will come to order. I will begin by calling roll. Regent Dunkel? Regent Barker? Regent Crow?
Here.
Regent Rouse?
Here.
Regent Reiswick? Regent Lindemeyer?
Here.
Regent Kramer?
Here.
Regent Richards?
Here.
Regent Yates is present. Have a quorum and the meeting can proceed. A motion and a second are required to approve and receive items on the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Rouse. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Regent Rouse. Second by Regent Dunkel. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote. Regent Weiswick is absent. Regent Dunkel? Regent Lindemeyer?
Yes.
Regent Barker?
Yes.
Regent Rouse?
Yes.
Regent Crow?
Yes.
Regent Kramer?
Yes.
Regent Richards?
Yes.
Regent Bates votes yes. The motion is approved. I would now like to recognize Denise Jamison, Vice President for Medical Affairs at the University of Iowa. Go ahead, Denise.
Thank you so much. So what we were hoping to do this morning is I was just going to give a very high-level review of where we were with the Mercy Iowa City acquisition, and then I'm going to turn it over to Joe Clayman to talk more specifically about the medical staff bylaws. So as we move towards the acquisition date, our primary goal is to ensure that there are no disruptions to patient care services. So we want to continue the mission of supporting the community of the Iowa City region and ensure that patients can be seen and that there are no disruptions. Some good things happening. There's a celebration today at the Zion Lutheran Church that I'm planning to attend to honor Mercy's 150-year legacy of service and of providing compassionate care in Iowa City. So to honor that legacy. There are also ongoing efforts to onboard the Mercy staff and providers and welcome them to the UI family, and there'll be some celebrations coming up. We are working with all vendors to transition services seamlessly to maintain quality patient care and operations. An example of this is the importance of the electronic medical record vendor to ensure that there's a smooth transition. We are planning a strong go live support structure. So we'll set it up like an incident command structure and have a presence on site starting January 30th to troubleshoot any problems that may arise. And this will be ongoing until we've really met our objectives of a successful go live with minimal disruption. As I mentioned, we're going to have a celebratory events for the go live on January 31st, which is the first day that'll be run as a UIHC facility. So we'll include food and decorations and swag giveaways and leadership rounding. We're also hoping Herky will attend. He's been invited. The one order of business today is that it's really critical for this integration that we maintain the open medical staff that we've been discussing so that whether you're employed by UIHC or a independent physician in the community, you'll have the opportunity to be on the medical staff and practice medicine at Mercy. And one key piece of this is approval of the medical staff bylaws. And so I'm going to turn it over to Joe to talk specifically about those bylaws. And Sherry, I don't know if we want to take questions now or wait till the end.
Why don't we wait to the end? Okay.
Okay. Joe, I turn it over to you.
Thanks.
Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, great. As Denise said, on November 11th, 2023, the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the Northern District of Iowa approved the sale to University of Iowa Healthcare. It is anticipated, as she said, that our transaction will be consummated on January 31st. Upon completion of the sale, UI Healthcare will operate 2 separately licensed hospitals, University of Iowa Healthcare Medical Center located at 200 Hawkins Drive, and University of Iowa Healthcare Medical Center downtown located at 500 East Market Street, both in Iowa City. The Clinical Systems Committee, which you're all familiar with, via the authority delegated by you, the Board of Regents, through the Iowa President and the Vice President for Medical Affairs, is responsible and will be responsible for clinical operations at all locations. The 2 hospitals will have 2 separate medical staffs. The University Hospital will continue to operate a closed medical staff. That is, a medical staff that requires people to have a faculty appointment with the Carver College of Medicine to have privileges. The downtown hospital will continue to maintain an open medical staff. That is, a medical staff that doesn't require a faculty appointment to maintain medical staff privileges. Each separate medical staff must have its own medical staff bylaws. Accordingly, UI Healthcare, through its board, must establish appropriate medical staff bylaws to be in place day 1 for the downtown hospital. Set forth in your docket are items that comprise those medical staff bylaws. The proposed bylaws contain only those changes necessary to align the 2 medical staffs so that they can share information and have some common processes. The proposed bylaws maintain the existing 4 departments as existed before of medicine, surgery, maternal and child health, and family medicine emergency meds. Proposed bylaws maintain the existing medical executive committee and the existing credentials committee, and all individuals in good standing with existing medical staff privileges will continue to have those privileges. Further, representatives from the downtown hospital will participate in the clinical systems committee and its subcommittees to have input into our governance. As stated, the goal here is to minimize disruption to the medical staff so that we minimize disruption day 1 to patient care. The proposed changes are limited to only those modifications we need to make our 2 facilities work in the transition. Although both hospitals will continue to maintain separate medical staffs that address different needs of the 2 different hospitals, UI Healthcare does intend to work in the future with the medical staffs at both hospitals to more closely align the bylaws so they are more similar. Any future proposed changes will take into account the different natures of the hospitals, of open and closed staffs, and the different purposes. It will involve input from both medical staffs at both locations, the Clinical Systems Committee, the President of the University of Iowa, and of course you, the Iowa Board of Regents. The bylaws proposed today have been reviewed and approved by the Clinical Systems Committee and reviewed and approved by the President of the University of Iowa. The action requested is to approve the adoption of these initial set of bylaws so that we can have a smooth transition day 1 for our patients, to be effective upon the consummation of the acquisition, so that the hospital license currently known as Mercy Hospital can continue to successfully operate going into the future. As Denise said, we're more than happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions or comments? Regent Lindemeyer?
Joe, I think you answered my question, but I noticed you're operating under 2 different licenses, and I assume because of the open and closed nature of the staffs that's a transitional thing, and that eventually maybe we would move to 1 entity.
Yeah, I wouldn't foreclose either way, but I think for the foreseeable future, we intend to operate as 2 separate licensed hospitals with 2 separate medical staffs, because it's so important to us to make sure that those private physicians in the city have a place that they can practice and all of that. But obviously into the future, we'll continue to evaluate what's best for the state as a whole.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Comments? Okay. Well, I think it sounds like this is nice to hear that this is coming to a closure soon and things have gone along. So hearing no, first of all, thank you to the presenters. Thank you all. And hearing no other questions or remark, a motion and a second are required to approve the bylaws as outlined in the docket memo. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Regent Barker, motion by Regent Barker. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Jim Lindemeyer seconded. Is there any further discussion? Have a roll call vote. Regent Barker,
Yes.
Regent Crow,
Yes.
Regent Rouse,
Yes.
Regent Weiswick is absent. Regent Dunkel,
Yes.
Regent Kramer,
Yes.
Regent Lindmeyer,
Yes.
Regent Richards,
Yes.
Regent Bates votes yes. The motion is approved. Is there any other business to come before the board?
Regent Bates, can I just make one quick comment? I just want to thank this team for how hard they've worked on this Mercy Iowa City merger. It's been so complicated and so many details behind the scenes. And Denise and Brad and Joe and all the others behind the scenes deserve a lot of credit for being patient, persistent, clear-headed, and supportive, because this is stressful for all of our Mercy Iowa City employees too. I think it's a great testament to how well it's going that the #1 request for the event was to have Herky there. I think that shows a lot. The employees there are excited, yes, anxious, but also excited and eager, and I credit the people on the screen with making a lot of that happen. So I just want to make that comment in front of the Regents and have it be part of the record, if you will.
Thank you, President Wilson. I think we would all agree with the sentiments that you just relayed, and we hope Herky is there too when we see a picture. Is there any other business or comments at this time? Hearing none, this meeting of the Iowa Board of Regents is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.